I'm Coulter Wonkite. I'm already into the 420, damn it.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
What's the matter with that cat there?
Must be full of reefer.
Full of reefer?
Yeah, man.
Mean that cat's high?
Sailing.
Sailing?
Lightly.
We now wander off the beaten path with an update from the Reefer Reporter.
Hello and welcome to the live version of the Reefer Reporters here on LifestyleRadio.net, featuring news hawk Kim Cooper and myself, Al Graham, as we bring you the previous week's Canadian and international cannabis news. This week it's for June the 19th to the 25th, 2018. Well, Kim, how was your weekend?
My weekend was absolutely wonderful, relaxing and enjoying the sunshine and soaking in the rays of all that has gone on the Canadian political scene behind the cannabis movement.
Yes, last week was hot for sure. And I know, just so you know, this coming weekend they're calling for 35 degrees Celsius down here. So,
Nice.
All right. Okay, well, let's get at it. We got lots to cover.
We most certainly do. It's been a moving and a shaking and evolving week in the cannabis scene in Canada, that's for sure.
That's right. Well, instead of starting off at the Senate, where we have been the last several weeks, we've been starting there. That is all over and done with, and Prime Minister Trudeau has actually set a date for cannabis legalization.
Yeah, he finally came down. Now the House of Senate, the senators, the man at the point man, so to speak, Bill Blair, everybody had the predictions of 8 to 12 weeks after the passage from the Senate committee. It's deemed a lot longer than that by our PM Trudeau, who has announced the date of October the 17th.
That's right, 17 weeks. We're going to be waiting. None of this 8 to 12 stuff. But they say that one of the things that we heard loud and clearly from the province is that they need a certain amount of time to get the brick and mortar stores and their online sales up and going. Producers need time to be able to prepare, and they want to be able to get this right. Well, as you know, Kim, here in Ontario, it's probably going to be more than 17 weeks. But,
a lot more than 17 weeks, I think, right here in the good old province of Ontario, the largest one Canada has, and we are nowhere near ready. As far as those people that are saying, we need time to get this ready, come on now. They've had a year. This has been on the table for over a year. It has been promised to become reality for 12 months. The time has been allotted for them to get ready. There are many provinces that are ready. So the ones that aren't, drop the ball. And I don't think the rest of us should have to pay for that.
Yeah, there was a few of the big provinces that did ask for more time. And it looks like they have done that. So,
yeah, they're getting what they wished for because people aren't ready. So October 17th it is. I also think that this is largely because the summer growing season is over by that date. And I think members of parliament are not ready to see Canadians have cannabis plants in their gardens, balconies, and in the forefront of everybody's mind on your property throughout the country. So making an October 17th date, it pretty much puts the growing season into next year.
Oh, that was my argument with a lawyer on Twitter is, what do you mean we have to wait? What do you mean we're not ready? There's lots of us who are licensed that would be legally allowed to grow their 4 plants.
Yeah.
We're ready. I realize not everybody, can go to the store and get their cannabis plants, but why didn't they allow some time for that beforehand? But no.
But some are not ready. Some are very, very ready. So the ones that aren't ready, they dropped the ball. And unfortunately, Trudeau is giving them the time that they need to fix that.
Yes, that's what it looks like. And, a bunch of those amendments and everything were all passed along the way. So Well, at least we have a date. It's not where we want it to be. And, it's not something like Canada Day, July 1st, where people were worried about it being called Cannabis Day. Or maybe it could have been July the 10th, like 7/10.
Yeah, well, we've almost got a 10, as you so aptly pointed out on social media, Mr. Graham. I love your little adaptation of the 1710, so to speak, with turning the 1 into an exclamation point. So we may yet see that being a national holiday in the cannabis community.
Yeah, we may, and actually, the day of the week is Wednesday, so it's Weeds Day.
Yeah, Weedy Wednesday.
And it's in October, so it's Poctober.
That's right. Weedy
Right.
Wednesday and Poctober. Yeah. So, 1710, why not?
You can still make it work.
You're sure, why not? Where there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, let's move on to our next thing, which is still on the legalization issue, and that's the fact that what do we need to know for legalization?
Yeah, well, there's a lot that we need to know, and a lot of that information is largely based on where you live.
Yeah, that's right. Once it's legal, Canadians will be permitted to, which depending on where you live, purchase fresh or dried cannabis oil, plants, and seeds for cultivation from either a provincial or a territory regulated retailer, or where the option is not available, directly from the federal licensed producer. So you can buy seeds, you can buy cuttings.
Yeah.
I can't. Do you think they'll have cuttings in the stores on October the 17th?
I doubt very much if we'll see cuttings in the store anytime in the near future. I think that'll be limited to the mail order regime. And from what I understand, they'll be using the same model.
Yeah. What about this cannabis oil? Will it be like the fecal oil where it's fully extracted cannabis oil, or will this be infused with coconut oil?
Yeah, good questions. All good questions, right?
I think it's going to be cannabis. I think it's going to be coconut.
Yeah. It's going to be wait and see.
Yeah. Okay. What's the next one we need to know?
Oh boy. The next one. Where am I? I've lost my spot.
Okay. Well, we can possess up to 30 grams of dried cannabis or its equivalent in public.
It's equivalent in public. 30. So you're allowed just over an ounce of possession, which isn't bad. But what happens if you have 31?
Yeah, you're a criminal.
You're a criminal.
Yeah, you're a criminal. Yeah, you're subject to, maybe it wouldn't be some simple fine or anything, I doubt. It'd be some nasty time. But you'd be a criminal. You'd be a criminal. You got to go before court.
Yeah. You can share
Charged.
up to 30 grams as well. They've allowed the sharing in there. And you're allowed to cultivate up to 4 plants for home growing per household. But that's going to differ on where you live, right?
Yeah, that's right, because Quebec, Manitoba, and I believe, they don't mention a lot, I believe that Nunavut also wants to ban home growing as well. But as the federal government has pointed out, they can adjust that, but they can't ban it. So, they can reduce those provinces, those locations down to 1 plant.
And they can add stringent rules on as well.
Right.
Where you can grow. Many are saying no to balcony growing. They can add stuff like greenhouses if it's outside, security fencing, all these kind of things. And regulations on height will not be totally eliminated, so they can be reintroduced on a province level.
Now, this possession of 30 grams of dried legal cannabis or equivalent in public, I know there's a way that they figure out this equivalent in public, but just for it to be like that, somebody might say, well, okay, I can have 30 grams of kiff, or I can have 30 grams of oil. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, how are they going to come out with a whole scale on equivalency levels for extracts at some point? Well, who knows? But right now, extracts really aren't legal other than the oil.
Yeah. That's right. And you're also allowed to prepare various products, such as edibles, at home for personal use, provided that no dangerous organic solvents are used in the process. Yeah. So you can make as much rosin as you want and put it in your edibles. You can make all those at home, which is very similar to what the medical and was after the Owen Smith case.
That's right. Well, after Smith, they mandated, how we could obtain these extracts, and they outlawed, many of the solvents that are commonly used to make extracts, and they basically left us with rosin as a legal means. So, that's why a lot of people are gravitating towards that method today.
Yes, exactly. Well, okay, there's if you've got the right news article in front of you, it goes province by province. Let's review some of those.
Yeah, I do. I just had to find it. Lots of windows open on this computer right now. Yeah, province by province. Alberta, legal age is 18.
Yeah, grow at home, yes.
Yeah. Illegal smoking areas. Cars frequented by children and tobacco restricted areas.
Yeah, and you can purchase it at private retail stores, provincial online sales as well.
Yeah, and then we go into BC. They're up to 19 there.
Yes, they are. And they're going to be allowed to grow at home. But I can tell you, it better not be on the balcony.
It better not be on the balcony. That's right. Lots of
jail time
in the growing in BC. So look up the regs for your particular area of British Columbia because they do vary. Cars, whether or not it's going to be allowed. Cars and areas frequented by children. And tobacco in tobacco restricted areas as well. So same along the line.
Yeah, the same with the private retail and the public. It's going to be a mix as well.
Yeah,
now I see Manitoba's a little bit different.
Yeah, 19 plus is available, but home growing they say no. And for their restricted areas, that's to be announced still.
Correct, but they're going to have private retail stores.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about provincial stores.
No mention of the provincial stores in that one at all for Manitoba. New Brunswick, 19 plus and yes to grow.
Yes, yeah. And it's going to be illegal to smoke everywhere but private property and residences. What about those that are living in condos?
Yeah, that's going to be a big issue in Brunswick.
And they're going to have government retail stores as well as online sales.
That's government retail stores and online sales only in New Brunswick. And then we jump over to Newfoundland, 19 plus, and they're unsure about their home growing practice.
Yeah, it's exactly. And they're the same as New Brunswick. They can illegally smoke it. The only spots you can legally smoke it is on private property and residence, and the same with the private stores and provincial online sales.
Yeah. Northwest Territories, 19 plus, and yes to home growing.
Yeah, allowed to smoke on private property residence. Smoking will be allowed in public areas when not in use for events.
So, they're putting the kibosh on, trying to put the kibosh on event-related smoking or consumption. Don't know quite how that's going to work out.
Private liquor store sales, provincial online stuff, possibility of cannabis-only stores in the future.
Yeah, that's more in depth than anybody else has said on that front for sure.
Yeah.
And then we jump down to Nova Scotia, 19 plus, and yes to growing there as well.
Yeah, and the smoking will be allowed wherever you can smoke tobacco.
Yeah. Government retail stores.
Yeah. Nunavut, as a lot of the other ones, 19 plus, even though there's some organizations out there still screaming for 24 and 21.
Yeah.
You'll be able to, they're saying yes here. I don't know. I had heard something about that. Yeah. You can smoke anywhere you can smoke tobacco.
Yeah.
And look at the sales, where the sales are.
Yeah, nothing is going to be available in Nunavut in 2018. Come 2019, they're looking at the private retail stores and online vendors can apply for a license.
I don't know of any other province that has allowed or location has allowed online vendors.
Yeah.
They talk about online stores, we're talking about provincial stores or right through to the LP, but online vendors, that's different.
Different model altogether for them.
Yeah. And if Doug Ford sticks with the Kathleen Wynne's OCS, it's going to be 19 plus. You can grow, and we can't smoke. We only smoke in our residences, just on private property, and just government stores with some online stuff being available.
Yeah, PEAI 19 plus, and illegal to smoke everywhere except private property as well at government stores. And it looks like pretty much the rest of them except Quebec is pretty much the same. Where Quebec is differing is 18 again and no to the homegrown sales.
And they may be smoked. Hang on. Illegal were everywhere but areas where tobacco may be smoked, excluding universities and CEGEP campuses.
Yeah, excluding the universities.
Yeah,
no at the universities and the college level.
Yeah. So it
A
looks
little
like.
more restrictive there. So depending on where you live, and then we were also hearing that municipalities are making changes at the municipal level as well. So, I mean, this is going to be an evolving situation, and you're really going to have to do some research on where you live, what the rules are.
Correct. I can see that. And I can see their problems going to arise for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Confusion. Okay, and all this leads down to the hot topic that's coming on here lately, and that is what is going to happen to people with criminal records for cannabis.
Yeah, a big topic in the community and in the headlines these days. Ralph Goodell has addressed that in the House recently and saying, what about all these people that have criminal records for possession when legalization comes in? How can we sit up and have a legal criminal record for this thing that is now legal? When will that be addressed?
Okay, well, there's a key word in there, and that is the word possession.
Yeah, that's right.
They haven't said trafficking. They haven't said cultivation. They've been saying possession.
That's right.
What I'm guessing at here is whatever becomes legal, they may pardon. So if 30 grams up to 30 grams is legal, people who were arrested at some point or have a record for 30 grams or less, they'll be expulsed. Somebody's been growing like 3 plants instead of having a criminal record, may be expulsed. But I'd be surprised if they allow somebody who's been growing 30 plants who got busted and they would expulse them. The only reason I'd be surprised is the fact because that would still be illegal under the new law.
Right. That makes sense. It does. And no matter what they do, they're going to move slowly with this. The minimums on what we can carry, what we can grow, and everything else may well evolve and change by the time they look at pardons on this. Canada has not been quick to hand out pardons, mass-wide pardons, because of the evolution of law.
Yeah. Well, Ralph Goodell says when the law changes, which will happen on the 17th of October, the government will turn its attention to those issues that arise once the law has changed, which is in fact making sure that it is both fair in current terms and historic terms to everyone. That's what he said on Sunday.
I'm glad to see Goodell pushing for it. I know others are as well. Let's hope that Trudeau and his body is listening to the people and what we want.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. A spokesman for Goodell says inaccessible pardons can be a significant barrier to good employment as many positions require criminal record checks. We want to ensure that the waiting period, fee, and purpose of the program are fair, proportionate, and productive.
Yep.
So let's see what that means.
It can cost a lot of money for an individual to file for an individual pardon. So the government needs to take this by the horns and just, do a mass pardoning for all involved. And it'll be much quicker for everybody, and it'll save everybody a lot of money and time in court. It's time consuming and it's expensive to apply for a pardon.
Yeah, and just so you know, the NDP have repeatedly called for people with possession convictions to have it expunged. The NDP Justice Critic is actually expected to introduce a private member's bill aimed at expunging criminal records for individuals with convicted marijuana-related crimes in the fall. So, if the Liberals don't start moving on it, the NDP are going to push a private member's bill through and see what happens.
Yeah, good to see them fighting for some actual rights for some people in this country.
That's right. And talking about fighting, we're not really fighting here, but it looks like Doug Ford wants to have a discussion.
Yeah, he's looking at getting some input on how he's going to roll legalization out in Ontario. Kind of late there, Dougie, but yeah, okay, at least he's on it.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, exactly. Let's see. When he's been asked about the plan, there was one time he said he was for open market stores, and then 36 hours later, 36 hours later, he's changed his mind. So
yeah, well, he got a spanking for that. That's not towing the party line. That's not the party that he ran under. That's not their belief. So he got a bit of a spanking for that, and he did a 360 immediately after saying it. So we'll have to wait and see. Is he going to toe the party line, or is he going to do what Dougie wants, or is he going to do what the people want? And how many people are speaking up and letting know what we want?
In that same interview he had with, I think it was Alan Carter of Global, where he was asked the cannabis question, and he said he was, for this thing with way that Kathleen Wynne had it. And then he went on about the alcohol, wanting to get it in the stores and all that. And then maybe down the road, he may look at it. Well, he has repeated that. And he says, what I said is I'm going to be focusing on the LCBO. Because he says, I'm private sector, but I don't believe government should stick their nose into everything. But again, this is path we went down before. We're going to tread carefully on this, and we're going to consult with local municipalities, and we're going to make a decision after we talk to caucus.
Yeah.
Something tells me
he's going to listen to his caucus. I mean, those are the boys that put him where he is. They decided to get him in the seat to run their party. But these guys got to toe the party line. Everybody has a lot of hopes for Doug and what he's going to do because of who he is as a person and what he represented with his brother, Rob Ford and all of that. And I just think party politics and party stand is going to play a much heavier game and weight in this whole decision-making process than people think it will.
Yeah, well, I was going to point something out, and I missed it. Oh.
You lost it. Lost it. Well, they say the file is anything but simple, and they feel that it's very complex.
Yes.
But we have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, they do. They do think it's complex, and we'll see what happens. He mentions, and this is what I was going to mention a second ago, that he wants to talk to municipalities and caucus.
Yeah.
What about the people who elected him?
Yeah.
He
never mentions talking to us, does he?
He got 53% of the vote. Yeah. What about those 53% of the people?
Yeah. It'd be nice if he was listening to the people, but I really don't think he is.
Yeah. Well, in good news at the end, though, the Green Party, meanwhile, says the province should adopt a model similar to the craft brew industry, in which small businesses and dispensaries would be regulated to sell cannabis.
Yeah, and I voted Green. I had hopes for them. They are a new party. I knew they wouldn't get in. I had hopes they would do a little bit better than they did, but it was good to see they at least got a seat this time around.
Yeah. Well, the NDP says that as Ontario's official opposition, we will work closely with municipalities, stakeholders, and community members to push the four Conservatives to roll out a legal cannabis sale in Ontario in a way that promotes social responsibility and community safety while effectively ending demand for illegal sales. I like the fact they did say community members.
Yeah.
That's some people. I don't know, is it organizations? But at least it says community. It's the people.
Yeah, and they go on there to say the New Democrats who had criticized the Liberal plan for what they deemed to be as an inefficient number of stores, said the premier designate needs to show Ontario has a plan that fixes the one the former Liberal leader Kathleen messed up.
Yeah. It needs to be cleaned up. That's for sure.
It needs to be cleaned up, and it needs to have action taken on it immediately. Legalization is being rolled out in 17 weeks. That's how long they have to build stores, get them stocked, and hire employees, because we should have some that are opening on the day of legalization in the largest province of the country.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And we're not the only ones who are waiting, because there's people within the industry see hope for private stores under the new government.
There is. Some people are excited about privatization under Ford, and they're name known and carry somewhat bit of controversy with them.
Oh, yes. Well, there are businesses out there that have been controversial, but they are also looking, as they are in other provinces, for private retail stores to open up here in the province. And I'm sure that those companies will be lobbying or sending in lobbyists in order to make their voices heard.
Yep, of course, we're talking about Haiku. It operates under Tokyo Smoke in downtown Toronto. And according to Bill Stewart, they're going to be opening up some more.
Yes, yeah, they are. Well, they want to grow. They're looking at they have tamed the right to open up to 20 to 30 stores by December in Manitoba and Newfoundland. So if they're opening up that many there, I can see them wanting to come here to Ontario as well, like with the dispensary style stores.
Yeah, and
you said they already got stores in Toronto, but they're not dispensary styles, right?
No, not as of yet. There's the one that's right on Bloor Street, I believe.
Yeah. I've never been to them.
I've never been either, myself personally, one that I've missed in my travels. But they're expanding. They're reaching out into Manitoba and Newfoundland.
Yeah, they are. And they're not the only ones. The licensed producers will also be looking to open up retail stores.
Absolutely. Everybody is. Canopy Growth is on board. They've already lobbied for storefront at their factory in Smith Falls.
Correct. Yes, they have. Yeah, they have lobbied for one for there because they have stores in other provinces, and they'll be looking to open here. And I can see more of the licensed producers. And if it comes to the point where maybe they can't be the ones that have the stores, but I could see that they'd be a branch.
Yep.
A division.
Yeah, well, they already have some stores that are open throughout the province of Ontario, but there's no product available there. But they serve as a base for anybody, that lives in a local neighborhood that has one. You can place your order there if you're a patient. If you're a registered patient, you can place your order there and have it delivered to that store for you to pick up there and that kind of thing. So they are serving a purpose already, and they're putting their foot in the door at a very early stage. And
it wouldn't take long for them to add cannabis to those stores.
That's right.
Yeah, the Main Street stores, yeah.
That's right.
That's right. Okay, Kim, one more article before we go for break.
Sounds good. Where are we off to now?
Where are we off to? We're going to head to New Brunswick, where there's a producer who fights a tainted cannabis lawsuit in court.
Very cool, if my computer would cooperate.
All right. Well, there's a 3-day hearing underway to determine whether the class action can go ahead.
Yeah, this happened last year. The tainted cannabis came out just over a year ago. And a lot of people got really sick. Class action lawsuit was organized and started for taking applicants way back in November. And I reported on this quite a bit at the time. And it's been pretty quiet since then.
Yeah, it has. It has. But yeah, the New Brunswick's largest licensed supplier was in court on Tuesday.
Yeah, Organigram.
Yeah, last Tuesday.
Organigram, which coincidentally was in the most recent write-up for the cannabis industry's, I guess, platform that they use. And they had been rated the top cannabis growth corporation, and they won an award and stuff for their product. And they're certified. But when all of this happened, they lost their certification. They made people sick. People were hospitalized, and it got swept under the carpet. And here we are under a year later, and they're winning awards and using a marketing scheme on winning these awards, yet they're in court.
Yeah, that's right.
For
Well,
poisoning people, but we don't hear about that.
no. Well, one of the things that the plaintiff's lawyer says is he wants people who purchase contaminated products to get their money back. And the second is that we're also looking for punitive damage to punish Onogram for what they did. We say knowingly or recklessly using banned pesticides to improve commercial value of their products.
Yeah, and they should be. I mean, we need much more stringent testing in effect. It has to be found before it goes out to the consumer, not after, and subject consumers to recalls on plants that we've already consumed.
Yeah, they say there could be as many as 5,000 Organogram customers who could be part of this class action lawsuit.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got to step up.
Yep, that would include those who purchased the product between February 1st and December the 26th of 2016. So that means almost the whole year of 2016, other than January.
Yep.
11 months.
11 months.
Purchase Organogram cannabis. Yeah, you can be part of this lawsuit.
And there's many patients out there that should be signed onto this lawsuit that are just, quite frankly, unaware. If you know of anybody that has used Organogram products, please make them aware of this and have them get in touch with the people that are in charge for this class lawsuit.
Yeah. One of the patients who was involved in this, last year she told CBC that the effects such as nausea and vomiting caused her to lose 8 months of her life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just terrible. A lot of people that were diagnosed with this cannabis hypermesis syndrome actually were contaminated with poisons.
Yeah, a military veteran says that she developed breathing problem, dizziness, and a rash from consuming the product.
A lot of people got very, very sick. So,
yeah,
you know, anything from a mild headache to chronic headaches to rashes, dizzy spells, all kinds of things could have been going on in your life at that time, may have been caused by this product.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. February 1st to the end of February 1st of 2016 to the end of 2016. If you're buying their product, get a hold of them. Look into it. All right, Kim. Break time.
Break time.
Yeah, break time. Have you got a Canada history moment?
I'm kind of on the fence on that. So we'll wait and see.
We'll see again. We'll see what the break brings us.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see what happens after the break. Well, in the meantime, we're going to hear from the Young Turks. They're going to talk about the Democrat Jared Polis, who's questioning Michelle Lionheart, who is the head of the DEA at that time, talking to her about cannabis. And then as we return, we'll hear a bit of a song about the best way to grow it. You're listening to the Reefer Reporters. We are live here at LifestyleRadio.net.
Hey, this is Cheech.
And this is Chong.
And you're listening to Lifestyle Radio. What is it? Lifestyle Radio. Say it one more time.
420 radio?
Ooh.
Hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Michelle Leonhardt is a person who was the deputy administrator for the DEA. She was appointed by President Bush in 2003, confirmed in 2004. Now, in 2007, when the top administrator for the DEA stepped down, Karen Tandy, she became the acting administrator. Now, she's very right-wing, and, you know, obviously Bush administration picked her. So when President Obama came in, he probably put his own person at the Drug Enforcement Agency, right? I mean, here's the guy who promised on the campaign trail, hey, don't worry, we are not going to enforce federal law in states where marijuana, especially medical marijuana, obviously, is legal, right? So what did he do? He reappointed and got Michelle Leonhardt confirmed. So she's now the administrator, and she has been since 2010, of the DEA. What did she do as soon as she got in? A massive crackdown on marijuana dispensaries that are perfectly legal in their own states. And this is now the record-breaking crackdown that we've been talking about on the Young Turks against legal pot in these different jurisdictions. Why is this right-winger running the DEA? President Obama put her there. Why did he put her there? Only God knows. I don't know why he does the right-wing things that he does. So now she's in front of Congress, and she's at the House Judiciary Subcommittee, and Democratic Representative Jared Polis of Colorado asks her a great series of questions. Listen to her comical answers.
Is crack worse for a person than marijuana?
I believe all illegal drugs are bad.
Is methamphetamine worse for somebody's health than marijuana?
I don't think any illegal drug
is
good.
Heroin worse for someone's health than marijuana?
Again, all.
I mean, either yes,
illegal
no, or
drugs.
I don't know. I mean, if you don't know, you can look this up. You should know this as the chief administrator for the Drug Enforcement Agency. I'm asking you a very straightforward question. Is heroin worse for someone's health than marijuana?
All illegal drugs are bad.
All illegal drugs are bad. That's your answer? She dodged 11 times. It would not answer the question. Can't you just say, yeah, okay, you got me. Heroin's worse than marijuana. Crack is worse than marijuana. But marijuana is still really bad. I don't agree with that, but come on. At least that's an answer you can live with. No. It's a level 1 drug, so that's it. No, marijuana just as bad as heroin. Oh, come on. And Polis is going after her because in Colorado, medical marijuana is legal. But here comes Michelle Leonard to try to crack down on that because this is a high priority. Higher priority than heroin, meth, crack? Well, you got to be on something to think that because she's on this crusade against pot. Thanks to the Obama administration and the Bush administration. Why do we have these guys putting clowns like this in charge of incredibly important agencies? And then, by the way, Polis then went on to talk about, wait a minute, aren't prescription drugs sometimes even more addictive than marijuana? What are you doing about that? Oh, me? That's not my purview. Nothing I can do about that. So if you're hooked on OxyContin, awesome. Marijuana, I'm coming for you. I'm coming. This woman belongs nowhere near government, let alone as the head of the DEA. Thank you. That's change we can believe in, right?
Are you looking for cannabis news, education, and people's opinions? Are you looking to learn what Canadian and international cannabis advocates are doing? Not only now, but what got them to this point in their lives, and what does the future hold for them? Do you want to learn how patients are using cannabis as their daily medication, or learn how their cannabis use helps them with their medical condition? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I'm going to suggest to you to tune in to Lifestyle Radio. Catch their live weekly shows and have your questions and concerns answered and find the experience you're looking for. Monday, catch your weekly news broadcast with the Reefer Reporters. Then on Wednesday, get several hours worth of cannabis public education. We get things started with cannabis and coffee with Tamarawana. Then tune in and catch Pottawa with Russell Barth, who calls himself the world's angriest pothead. Finish up your evening with the award-winning Pace Radio Show with Al Graham and joint host Kim Cooper and Alicia Yashishin. No week would be complete without tuning into Friday night's program, the 420 Radio Show featuring Al Rapp and the 420 Radio crew, Mary Jane Baker and Marcel Gignac. Cannabis is a lifestyle, and you can catch all your cannabis lifestyle information right here at lifestyleradio.net or at our sister site, 420radio.ca.
Celebrate Indigenous Awakening at Legacy 420's first outdoor music fest, August 11th on the Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory.
This one's about rock and roll and comic books and bubblegum.
Featuring Headstones, DJ Shove, Derek Miller, and more, with host MC Howie Miller. Opening drum ceremony at 12 noon. Medicinal, food, and Indigenous vendors and artists. Free camping. Tickets $75 at legacy420.com. A 19 and over event. Indigenous Awakening, Saturday, August 11th on Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory. Take Highway 401, exit 556.
Sponsored by NIMCA and Legacy 420.
Homegrown's all right with me. Homegrown is the way it should be. Homegrown is a good thing. Blind that bell and let it ring.
All right, hey, we're back. And after we got some medication into us, it's time to get back at her. Kim, did you happen to find a can of history moment?
I did. We're going to go back in time, but we're not going to go back all that far. Since we're at the dawn of legalization in Canada, I thought it'd kind of be cool to take a look at how this all got started and how did cannabis get put on the front burner in politicians' eyes to make it legal where we are today. And I think we got to put a lot of credit to a man by the name of Bob Herb. He's a cannabis activist that has been part of the movement for many years in the background. Well, he came upon some good luck back in 2012, and the cannabis community greatly benefited from that good luck throughout 2013 and beyond. Bob was the recipient and winner of a winning lottery ticket. He won $25 million in a lottery in BC. He decided to take what was closest to his heart, which was the cannabis movement. He donated a big chunk of money to that, and he started the campaign to make cannabis legal by presenting all cities across this nation with an opportunity to have some paraphernalia, signage, and some publicity about 420 and organizing 420 movements across the nation to put forward this in politicians' mind in the upcoming elections, which were happening in the short few years in the future. So much of what we have going on today, I think we owe a great deal to Bob Herb.
I remember Bob, he was handing out, there was T-shirts and hats, and he was helping different rallies right across the country. People could apply and request stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was sending things to people. And it was great. He
had 20 cities in 2013, and by the end of 2015, over 42 cities across Canada were taking place with donations from Bob Herb. I mean, I was one of them. We had our first annual one in Temiskaming Shores. He sent me huge boxes I had to pick up with a pickup truck at Purelator. They were filled with all kinds of T-shirts, buttons, signage, and great signs to put up all over the city.
Yeah, and he did more than just help the cannabis community. He helped the community from where he lived as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're helping with local projects and stuff like that.
Local projects, food banks, town halls, all kinds of things. He gave a lot to local charity.
Yeah. You go way back to the first year of the Pace Radio Show, and you will find an interview with Bob Herb. It's way back.
Way back.
Way back.
Yeah. So just a shout out there to Bob Herb and his great donation that helped push the movement forward and get us to where we are today.
Yeah. Yes. All right, and we always appreciate the help Bob did for us.
Absolutely.
All right, from herb to beer.
To herb to beer, yeah.
That's right.
And Canadian companies are looking at crafting much more than just edibles.
That's right. Craft, they want to right from cannabis beer right through cookies.
Yeah.
The edible market is waiting to explode. They have to wait for all our government regulation and controls to come out in another year's time, though.
Yeah, they say government says within 12 months, so it could be sooner than 12 months, but it won't be longer than 12 months, according to our premiers, that the edible market will be rolled out with legalization. So companies are getting ready now. Now is the time to develop your brand and market your brand to larger companies, making deals with LPs, legal producers, and that sort of thing to obtain your legal product to make these brands. Now is when it's happening.
Oh yeah, for sure. And companies are gearing up for that. They're not going to wait and start everything once it happens. They're getting their feet running. They're getting things going on. So when it hits, they're up and rolling.
Yeah. We won't see many of these products rolled out for at least, 8 to 12 months before we see them on the marketplace. But we're definitely hearing lots about them. Everything from, like you say, suckers to infused nuts and dehydrated fruits and crackers and right up to beer. Non-alcoholic, but THC active beer.
Beer, exactly. Like we've been seeing some of the the smaller places. Providence Brands is a company that's looking at trying to make cannabis beer. It's actually being done through Belleville at the college there. Name slips me right now, but Loyalist College. But they're not the only ones.
No, that's for sure. Everybody seems to be getting in on the game.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody, from the small producer, like I mentioned, there's dealing with Providence Brands, right up to Molson's.
Yeah, Molson's Brewery is looking at adding an infused line.
Yes, they've been having discussions with LPs across the country to see what they can come up with. It's going to, they've been doing it for the last 6 months. They've been engaged with 4 cannabis companies, that's Molson's, including Afria and Aurora.
Yeah, and I'm sure cannabis growth is in there.
I'm sure. They're not mentioned yet.
They're not mentioned yet, but there's not much that they
Actually, I think
they're
put in. Yeah, I'm just thinking they're in with Providence, but yeah, I'm sure their foot is going to be in here somewhere.
Yeah, there's puts in everything, so.
But Aurora and Afria, they've discussed with them, and Aurora is very interested in it.
Yeah, Aurora will partner up with a company like Cannabis Growth in a heartbeat, I'm sure. It would send both their stocks through the market, covering the recreational game for people that want to explore new things.
That's right. Well, we were talking about the big, some of the other producers are talking about Tweed, whether Canopy would be involved in all this. Don't forget, they're partially owned by Corona.
Yes, they are. So they may not get in bed with Molson's after all. I had forgotten about that. That's true.
But yeah, there's going to be a beer from there. And also rivals Green Organic Dutchman Holdings. They're looking at doing a iced teas, juices, soft drinks.
That kind of thing. Yeah, for sure. So many people are in this marketing game now for infusing different things. And it's funny because we already have those products existing in today's market on a wide variety and a wide level, coming from the craft producers that have been held underground for so many years. I mean, I've been drinking infused pop and infused tea for several years.
Oh, yeah. Same with all these edibles. Like they've been available, for years,
Yeah.
And I guess it's new to the rest of the world, or everybody else, because the cannabis community already knew.
Yeah, but it's funny how excited we all get when we hear about places like Molson's breweries getting involved and stuff like that. It's like, our friend up the road has been doing this for the last 5 or 6 years already. He's like, hey, you've been drinking mine. You don't talk that way about mine, right?
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I know that, people talked about this years and years and years ago. Big tobacco, big breweries getting involved in the cannabis thing when,
Well, it's going to
now it's coming. Now it's it's almost becoming reality.
Yeah, well, it's going to explode. I mean, it's been an underground market, and we've been enjoying the fruits of that for many years. Now that it's come above ground and above board, of course, all the big boys want to play too, because there's a lot of dollar signs out there, and that's extremely attractive to these corporations.
Yeah. Well, it is. Color green.
Yes.
More ways than one.
More ways than one.
That's right. Okay, talking about places that have multiple, what do you call them? Different items. Different. Yeah. Yes.
Genres available under one roof.
That's right. Exactly. You mentioned, was it haiku there a little while ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on with
SmokeArsenal.com. Yeah, there's an article in a magazine called Danker. I love the boys at Danker. They do some great stories there. This particular one was written by Gideon B., great friend of mine personally. Love the guy and what he's doing in his personal life and his business life as well. And it turns out he's a great writer as well. He visited a place in Toronto called the Smoke Arsenal. And I guess it's being compared to the Costco for stoners.
Yes, he's just like this writer. I'd never heard of the Smoke Arsenal either. But what they are is a wholesaler that distributes products to head shops and bong stores across Canada and the USA.
Yeah, many of us have never heard of this place, and it's huge, and it's right in Toronto. They do the wholesale distribution, and they have everything you can possibly think of to supply any head shop or small business or personal need that you can possibly think of. Large, small, bongs of all kinds, smoking gear, paraphernalia, books, you name it, they've got it.
Yeah, exactly. He says here that it was just aisles and aisles and aisles of products. And he says as he journeyed through each aisle, he saw various people come in and fill their carts with items and take them and take back to what I assume would be, like a typical convenience store checkout.
Yeah. But besides accessories, they even had several CBD oils available there. Feminine seeds are available from a native seed company. They carry famous brands like Raw, Roar, Cheech Glass, Yocan, and many, many others.
Yeah. Well, hey, I know a guy real close to me here that has a head shop. I don't know whether he knows about Smoke Arsenal or not. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, it looks like a fantastic place. They have a large selection of books and paraphernalia, grinding trays, every kind of rolling paper you can possibly think of that's out there. And, of course, bongs.
Bongs. Oh, yeah, they carry all kinds, including Raw. Or it's not Raw, but Roar.
Yeah,
Cheech
Roar.
Glass. Yeah, Roar, yeah. So they must be an official distributor for Roar.
Yeah.
Gee, I need a part. Wonder if I can contact him.
There you go. So, I found this story extremely interesting. I didn't know a place like this existed. It's definitely on my list of places to go and tour during my annual trip to Toronto this year for the Karma Cup this September.
Good. Yeah, you can let us know down the road how it was.
Yeah, for sure. Can't wait.
Yes, yeah, lots of pictures.
Lots of pictures. Yeah, lots of pictures. Lots of goodies.
Okay, well, we were talking a lot about how Canada here has reached a milestone. We've got cannabis legalization. Yes, not everybody's happy with it. Yes, it does need some changes, that's for sure. But down in the U.S., they have also reached a milestone.
They most certainly have. For the very first time, the FDA, yes, the FDA is approving a marijuana-based drug for the first time ever.
That's right. The FDA approved the medication from GW Pharmaceuticals on Monday that treats two rare forms of childhood epilepsy.
Yeah, they've turned it into a strawberry-flavored syrup. It's purified form of cannabis, purified chemical from the cannabis plant known as CBD. So they're purifying cannabis or CBD, adding it to a strawberry-flavored syrup, and making a child-friendly medicine from it.
Yeah, they tested on 500 patients with hard-to-treat seizures, overcoming numerous legal hurdles to conducting research with this. And, for it to happen in the USA, what is now going to happen with Schedule 1?
Well, exactly. And that's exactly where my mind goes. Right now, CBD is listed on the list with a Schedule 1 drug, saying it has no medicinal value. The DEA in the United States just this year raided natural and whole food stores that were selling CBD-related oils and products on their shelves and confiscated them from the shelves, and they faced charges for selling an illegal product. The advertising board has come down hard on companies saying you're not allowed to advertise your CBD oils if you're selling them as having any medicinal value. We do not recognize this product as having any medicinal value. Well, now we have the FDA. who does recognize it as having medicinal value. So what does that do to all of these other arbitrary laws?
Well, they'll probably turn around and say, well, we haven't studied those. Like, we have studied this drug, and this one passes. That one didn't. But as far as, the scheduling of the drug, because it has no known medicinal benefit. But yet here is one medicinal benefit from whole plant extraction that has been approved.
Yeah, so they've got a bit of an oxymoron going on in the States between the DEA, the laws, and the FDA.
It'd be interesting. We have to keep an eye on this.
Yes, for sure.
See what happens. Some people, I'm sure, would be against this in the cannabis community because they look at it as a pharmaceutical company that produced it. But we're talking about children here, babies.
That's right.
We're not talking about going out and smoking a joint.
Any milestones that we can get over, any hurdles that we can get past here is fantastic. As long as we are getting this life-saving medicine to the people that need it, that is the ultimate goal. So, and that's being met here. So I applaud the FDA on their courageous stand forward. I'm just very interested to see how the DEA and the rest of the country will be viewing this as far as still being able to state it has no medicinal value at this point. Seems a bit ridiculous to me.
Yeah. Same here. I agree. Okay. Sticking with the U.S., we see there's a border state that's what we're doing up here in Canada.
Yeah, Minneapolis, St. Paul. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, he says he's not beating around the bush when it comes to his response to Canada becoming legal and the second nation to do so, legalize cannabis nationwide. And he says he's all for it. He's glad that we're passing this historical bill, and he hopes that they're next.
Yes, he sent out a tweet there the other day. He says, marijuana will soon be legal in Canada. Let's make Minnesota next. And then the USA.
Yeah, so
he's
progressive.
He's got a bigger goal than just the state.
That's it. He's got some high hopes over there, shall we say. The Minneapolis mayor is recently ended a low-level marijuana string arrest after a racially disparity was revealed, and he discovered that nearly everyone arrested was black. And he says at that time he's changed his stand.
Yeah, like, holy smokes. Like, people always say, it's racial charged laws, and here's a perfect example.
That's right. And so when he realized the disproportionate amount of black and ethnic people that are being arrested for this, he wants it decriminalized. He wants the arrest to stop, and he wants to see it legal, not just in Minneapolis, but nationwide in the U.S.
Yeah. Minnesota officially legalized medical marijuana back in July of 2015, although it is known as being one of the tightly regulated programs in the country. The medical program did add more qualifying conditions in 2017, which includes autism and sleep apnea.
Yeah. So we're moving slowly in Minneapolis, but we're moving.
Yes.
And we've got a progressive mayor there now that's looking at things differently. So, if you're a Minneapolis, St. Paul resident, there's hope yet. Hold on.
Yes. Well, in Minnesota, they've added some conditions to their medical cannabis program, but I see down in Hartford, they're not adding one specific one, which is really disappointing.
Really disappointing coming out of Hartford, Connecticut. A physician board there ruled against adding opiate withdrawal as a condition qualifying for medical cannabis.
Yeah, that's right. The 9-person board made up of Department of Consumer Protection commissioner plus 8 doctors said that while cannabis anecdotally seemed to help some patients wean themselves from opiate painkillers, they could not disentangle the drug's effect on withdrawal symptoms from its ability to relieve pain. Absent a larger discussion was on whether to treat chronic pain with cannabis, the board ruled against adding opioid withdrawal as a condition that qualified patients for medical marijuana prescriptions.
I don't understand this. Because it can treat something else, we can't qualify it to treat this because they're too intertwined. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I'm not a physician by any means, but I do have common sense, and that just doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't add up whatsoever. There's so much proof going on. Lots of anecdotal evidence out there. You just look at the differences in the different states, and the opioid death counts go down by 25%. Like,
yeah, I agree. I mean, hard and steadfast studies. It's a plant-based medicine. What happens for one is not going to happen in the same time period and everything else for another, because we're all built differently. So hard and steadfast studies like these people want just simply don't exist, and will take years and years to accumulate. The anecdotal evidence is there and available for the taking. It's just got to be accepted.
Yeah, well, according to one of the directors at Hartford's Hospital Pain Treatment Center, they say in terms of curtailing cravings, we just don't have the evidence. It's just too open. It's just too unknown.
Yeah, too unknown. Come on, really? It's helping. That should be the thing that is known, and be the only thing that we need to measure by.
Yeah. Well, another pain management specialist said that he's seen some of his patients with other conditions qualifying for medical cannabis use the drug to whittle down their opiate intake, but admitted it was unclear whether cannabis had actually helped ease the withdrawal symptoms or if it had relieved their pain and reduced the need for painkillers.
Yeah, and he went on to say that he'd rather do this as a chronic pain issue rather than a chronic pain issue.
Chronic use issue.
Chronic use issue. Because the head of palliative care at Connecticut Children's Hospital stated, the longer he's involved with medical cannabis, the more I shift towards adding it for all chronic pain use.
Yeah, well, it should be.
It
should be. Yeah, they've deliberated over a few other things, conditions to add and all that. But, and there's some there, they're talking about degenerative spinal disorders. Like, I ran into that all the time from patients.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people argued it. Samuel Silverman, who's a board of directors at Rushford Avon facility, he was against it. He said, I don't recommend going with something that we don't really understand. And then you had other people on the other side, like Linda Berry, a board member from Yukon Health, and she said there's a lot of anecdotal evidence and it's very compelling, but they're all single-use stories rather than a large group of people that shows a trend. And that's the big issue.
Yeah, well,
for the medical community, and it's going to take years for them to compile this kind of data.
Yeah, well, according to the Connecticut State Medical Society, they're also opposing using cannabis to treat opioid addiction. If someone trying to kick an addiction used only cannabis instead of
buprofenoids,
yeah, which can satiate opioid cravings without producing a high, the result could be disastrous, the group board, leading to relapse, overdose, and even death. If they use cannabis,
they're not going to die. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of uneducated people that are still out there is astounding, and these are all board members at reputable hospitals. I have a hard time wrapping my head around it. Hopefully, people of Connecticut will have better luck with their advocacy groups in petitioning these particular doctors and getting them to change their mind with some good hard-nosed evidence that they might not be aware of.
Several board members also worried that prescribing cannabis to people with opioid addictions could reroute them out of treatment regimes that use methadone and other drugs. Hello?
Well, yeah. Well, we hope that they don't need methadone.
is that, yeah, issue 11 of Treating Yourself magazine, there's an article in there on a lady who got off of methadone using cannabis.
Yeah. And methadone, once they put you on that, that's just another lifelong substance abuse problem that you have to now get through your family physician or a methadone clinic. I mean, it doesn't help anything. It's just a replacement. Cannabis actually helps you get off rather than getting you addicted to something else. Most of these people's hands are in these pharmaceuticals' pockets, and that's why they push for these pharmaceutical remedies.
Oh, that is brutal. Yeah, I'd rather give my patient methadone than cannabis.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, let's hope that the people of Connecticut can educate these people a little bit better.
Yes, yes. Well, let's move on up a little bit further to the north. Let's head to New York.
Yeah, New York is going in a different route. They're looking at legalizing cannabis with health department endorsement now.
Hey, well, that's good stuff. I like that.
It most certainly sounded like it.
That's up against the Canadian border. Should our government threaten to shut down the border?
Yeah, maybe, New York cannabis will stream northward and contaminate, Niagara's people.
Yeah, they may not have it. They may allow more than 21 pesticides to be used in their legal cannabis.
Yeah, and it could hurt us.
So that means illegal pesticides could be used in their cannabis if you travel north.
Yeah. Well, anyway, get a little off topic there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we are.
Have a little dig in there. Sorry, people. We love you. We running your country. So yeah, New York, they moved a significant step closer to legalizing recreational cannabis, and a study commissioned by the governor out there, Mr. Cuomo, recommended that the state allow adults to consume cannabis legally. And the governor's health commissioner said that they're backing that.
Yes, well, it's a complete turnaround because a year ago they said that cannabis was a gateway drug. But they looked at the pros and we looked at the cons, and what we've done is realize that the pros outweigh the cons.
Yeah.
We have new facts.
Big surprise. Big surprise in good old New York. I'm glad they weighed the pros and cons.
Yes.
The findings went on and to the right people, and they've decided to join a roster of states that have already begun legalizing cannabis, including California and Colorado, and of course Washington and the District of Washington.
That's right. Yeah. More and more states are doing that. So yeah, it's just up to the federal government down there to make changes so that other things such as banking can kick in, and maybe people can cross borders without being concerned whether they have to admit that they smoked a joint back in 1967.
Yeah, and wind up getting you barred from going over, which causes a lot of people a lot of issues.
Yeah. Even just writing, even being a cannabis writer can threaten you to cross the border right now, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's getting very out of hand over there.
Yeah.
Border. We've got to be hush hush. We're going back into the days where we're hiding under rocks and using assumed names and all of this other thing just so that we can travel freely. On the days we're at the dawn of legalization across the northern whole territory, from Mexico to Canada, everybody's looking at legalization, yet people that are advocates are hiding even more.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's good to see New York joining the cannabis bus, and hopefully more will jump aboard and will force the federal government to make change.
Absolutely. Well, pretty soon it's going to be all of them, and they won't have a choice, right?
That's right. Okay, Kim. Well, that was our last story of the week.
Yeah, busy week in cannabis news once again. Hopefully it'll slow down a little bit, but not too much where we come to a dead stop, and we'll have more good stories next week.
Yeah, prevent the computers from crashing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's our Reefer Report for June the 19th to 25th, 2018. In closing, we'd like to say thank you for listening to our Reefer Report. And if you enjoyed it, please share it with those you love and those you don't. Until the next time, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
Bark at you later.
Celebrate Indigenous Awakening at Legacy 420's first outdoor music fest, August 11th on the Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory.
Came down Sunday, offered me a
Featuring Headstones, DJ Shub, Murray Porter, and more. With host MC Howie Miller. Opening drum ceremony at 12 noon. Medicinal, food, and Indigenous vendors and artists. Free camping. Tickets $75 at legacy420.com. A 19 and over event. Indigenous Awakening, Saturday, August 11th on Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory. Take Highway 401, exit 556.
Sponsored by NIMCA and Legacy 420.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.